play north for king x or south for 10x. Indeed. Now 4 spades is the limit here, but I think you could persuade south to hit another spade if they compete to the 5 level.
The jack of fourth hand is not particularly useful
North-south play a 5-card major,
diamond trick.
but with a very special 2-diamond opening. That 2-diamond is close to an equal 2 in some suit. Diamonds is almost like an promise 9 playing tricks or 24-25 balanced. So they use 2 class hands to trick that.
So North's 4 diamonds is a pretty strong move, and South has done well to only bid 4 spades. I know diamond values are useless to him, but I mean he might expect quite a reasonable card. Of course he's got to bear in mind that Rodwell and Mextroth have both bid strongly, so it really does look to him that the 4 diamond bid is based on a wonderful diamond suit and not that many points. And I always think it's entirely sensible to modify your expectations of partner's hand, allowing for the fact that the opponent's bidding has shown good values, not to assume that they're bidding with complete minimum and trying to fool you out of a cold game. If they've shown lots of points and you've got a lot, the chances are that your partner's bids are based on a long suit and not points.
I can tell you that in the other room East-West competed to 5 hearts, and Weinstein now thinking he will bid 5 spades, surely. So this should be a very good board for France. Let's see. He did bid 5 spades just now. That contract is just dead. So 12 imps coming to France, I think.
Well, that was quite difficult for East-West in general to bid up to the 5 level. I'm not surprised that the Americans didn't hear. Depends how obvious South made it that he had an absolute blockbuster hand, I suppose, to go to 4 spades. What if did he bid 4 spades straight away at the other table? Do you know, Roland?
I know, yes. 1 heart, 4 spades, 5 hearts. Pass, pass, 5 spades. Pass, pass, but Rombo thinking now over 5 spades in the balancing seat. Is he going to bid 6 hearts?
No. Not someone in the top 8 of the Bermuda Bowl. No, that would be ridiculous. No, well, there we go. The 4 spade vulnerable against not more or less shows that you're expecting to make it. It shows an absolutely fabulous hand. and Rodwell with ace king X. He didn't really know what his partner would have, but 5 hearts looks good to me on that bidding. Here, of course, Rodwell was allowed by the double to show his hand already, so there was no reason for him, nor Mextroth either, to think of going to 5 hearts.
No, I agree with that. It is true that 4 spades is bid to make, but you don't promise 10 certain tricks in your own hand by bidding 4 spades.
Well, the other thing is that by going straight to 4 spades, he shows a massive spade suit. Here he started with a double and partners bid 4 diamonds. So he's going to do something over 4 diamonds, and he may suggest 4 spades on a much lesser spade suit. You know, even he would then have loads of points, of course. He might have an 18 count with ace king to 6, something like that. So it's possible from Rodwell's point of view that Mextroth might have a trump trick, something like that. In any case, they've both described their hands.
I don't trust this trick.
That was a funny trick. Well, if he took 11 tricks, it's correct. Yeah, ace of hearts, 2 of hearts, and then Mac thought that, well, declarer must have King Jack Doubleton in hearts, and he ducked it. Now I believe it.
Yes, well, when can it be right? When can it be right, Roland? Not to put in the queen.
Peter, I didn't say anything about that. Just trying to explain how it went, and that it seems right. He thought that declarer had King Jack. So he said, well, I might as well follow small here.
So that doesn't answer Peter's question.
That's nonsense.
Well, okay, so the operator was wrong, and he was also wrong to give him 11 tricks. Let's see, we can see it on the official page in a few minutes.
You're not understanding us, Roland. There's no question that he made the play, but I'm just saying that the justification for making it didn't add up.
I understand that. I was merely trying to see if this could be right, and I believe it was.
Be very unlucky for South at the other table if they don't get the same defence in hearts.
Well done. Okay, this contract is just dead. Should go down easily enough. You have to misdefend, seriously misdefend the hand in order to get declared the contract.
There was one fairly similar 3-note trump contract where we said that the England pair would have to misdefend seriously to let it through, and they did reduce to single queen opposite single king of diamonds and allow declarer to make ace jack to some number in the dummy and make the contract. So these hands where a long suit can be run, even with world-class players, occasionally they will screw up with their discards.
Yeah, but here it's very difficult, David, because North will hold on to his ace of hearts, South will hold on to his ace of spades, so I don't think it's possible to misdefend here.
No. Well, I didn't think it was possible on the other hand, but I agree here it would be doubly impossible.
Well, still playing 5 spades in the other. The defense had made it very difficult for top club. Yes, the contract is terrible.
Really, from ace-king, the method of leading the king to get a count card would be good. Ace for attitude, king for count is so wonderful, I can't understand why it's not played more widely.
It is played widely, David, against contracts at the 5 and 6 level at least. People play ace for attitude, king for count, even if they don't do it against lower contracts. They do it against 5 and 6 level contracts. But apparently not that French pair in the other room, Rambaud and Compescure.
If he leads the king and here's at an odd number, then he just can cash the ace and sit back.
Yeah, I agree. But they discarded correctly. Declarer took all his spades and would lose the last 2 tricks, 4 down 1. I should be up in a second. $13 imps, if 650 is correct, then 13 imps, and we have it here, 13 imps.
I see that even after 2 absolutely wonderful wins by England against top teams getting 35 out of 40, they're still only in 7th place. So they certainly can't afford to go off the boil. It just shows you how tough it is to get up into those places. I mean, they were something like 15 points adrift of 8th place at one stage. But they've got to really follow it up. I think they've still got several of the teams down the bottom to play. And ago they did pick up against probably the only of those teams down the bottom that they've played so far. So it's looking good, but there are many teams really determined to get in. And I said during my commentary of the other first match this morning when I joined right at the end, I'd be really happy if India themselves got into the top 8. It's always nice when the home nation does well. And much as I've welcomed on several occasions the advance of China with its many millions of bridge players, equally India is a huge country and it would be good to see them do well at the world level.
I have some bad news, and the bad news is that the results page is down. Nothing we can do about it. I'll let you know when it's back up, or a spectator will let me know.
Usually the words, "I have some bad news," are followed by, "For David, the England team are losing 41-11. So I don't mind if the server's down at all.
I see. All right, England playing South Africa now, so I think you could take it easy. South Africa has a weak team this time round. 26 count. I think. Did I count correctly? Think so. My word. And 10 controls. Well,
Seems to be a very playable slam in 6 clubs. Hard for Rodwell to visualise that because he's expecting a spade to be set up, and he's got gaps in hearts and diamonds too. And Mextroth's first pass showed 0 to 4, but in fact he's got an incredibly useful card, the King of Spades. Jack of Hearts, also some potential use. Can't afford to roughen his spades, you see, because that would let the Jack make a trick in the trump suit. Nor can he set up the diamonds. So, do you think 6 clubs would make you two?
I was distracted, so I haven't even analysed the hand. Peter has no excuse, so he'll let you know.
I can only see 11 tricks.
Right. Score's working now, at least for me. And I see that Denmark had a useful swing against Guadeloupe. Whether that was on board 18 or 19, I don't know. I haven't checked. Peter will, I'm sure. And that's probably maybe the spade hand. Could be 4 spades against 5 spades.
Right you are, Roland.
So still a glimmer of hope for Denmark to finish among the top 8. They can win big against Guadeloupe now. They're in with a shot. But they're not too far away from 8th spot at the moment. And still 6 matches, 7 actually, to go after this.
Yes, when you think that means 140 victory points at stake. Obviously the difference between doing well or badly in your last few matches can shoot you all over the table.
And I have good news for you, David. England still has to play 5 of the teams in the bottom 7.
Well, that's even better than I thought. So, excellent. Next time you say something that I don't agree with in bidding, I'll say, that's very good, Peter. Right.
And for the listeners, if you want to check, go to the result page and press for the cross ranking. No, cross ranking. Then you'll see which team your nation still has to play.
Oh, that's
Cross table ranking.
right. I thought you were referring to the boards, the individual boards in a match. Then you can click on the match number to get that. You can see the players playing and the contracts at both tables.
You remember the hand that had 9 spades on board 18, 9 spades and an ace? Well, the Hacketts bid up to 6 spades minus 2, but fortunately it was a flat board. Oh dear.
Flat board.
6 spades minus 2 at both tables, yeah.
Wonderful.
I know it's very normal that you're in the so-called sandwich position.
You have that delay, Peter, because I could hear the last part of David's sentence in the background for you about 10 or 15 seconds after he finished his sentence. And I really feel sorry for you.
Yes, and I have a very new computer, so it's not a computer problem in my end, but I have to discuss the problem with you, Dai. What I was mentioning was that it's today it's very normal that in the sandwich position, 1 heart, 1 spade, 1 no, that is a strong no trump. In the old days, it promised the 2 unbeaten suits, but I'm still surprised that Rockwell will no nines, tens or no suit, bid 1 no, and the best North-South could have done was to let him play 1 no. They have 4 club tricks, 2 spades is 6, and a diamond is 7 at least.
Yes, but that's only 50 and they've got a good club fit, haven't they?
Yes, I'd rather take 130 than 50. I think this can make, but whether it will or not, remains to be seen. You have of course, you have 3 obvious losers: diamond, heart, club. But I think everything's fine when clubs are 2-2. You can set up the spades. I think it'll make.
And with S-Jack stiff in West Hand, he can't go wrong at the club jack.
This is a moment when even Tony Forrester would allow a lead away from a king against a suit contract. Partners bid diamonds, and you've got horrible leads in spades, hearts and clubs anyway.
Robson actually did that in the morning match, David, away from King Jack to 5 clubs. Robson led a club. It didn't matter, but he did. Forster had the opportunity later to lead away from 2 kings actually on the black lead, on the blind lead, and he didn't. He chose a trump as soon as as far as I remember. Yep. Were you going to ask me a question? It didn't cost, as I said. Ace queen was in the dummy anyway.
No, I was just going to make some fatuous remark about whether you had the video up and could see Forrester's expression when he discovered that his partner had committed the ultimate sin.
Right. Now, it's not unusual to have 3,000 spectators at one table in the late match, the last match, but it's very unusual to have 3,000 spectators now. And that's what we have. Pretty amazing.
Right. Well, what score do you think the Hackett's picked up on this board, Roland? Minus 1100. Perhaps they're due for another 1.5 days sitting on the bench.
Did they go for 1100 on this board?
Yes, good for my blood pressure that I'm watching France USA1 instead.
But you have no option because England is not on.
Really, when you're playing a team down the bottom of the table, you don't want to be taking risks of that sort, I'd have thought. But anyway, I haven't seen what happened, so I suppose I shouldn't criticise them.
Yeah, they went for 1100 and 3 diamonds doubled. And they can only manage 660 in the other room. But that was on board 20, David, not 21.
Well, my spy just put Hackett's down 1100 on this board, so maybe I saw the message a few seconds late.
It was a board where we discussed 6 clubs, where we only could find 11 tricks. There could be a possible 12, but difficult to see. It was where Rodwell had 26 high card points, and South a hand with Singleton spade, 4 small hearts, Queen Jack 10 9 16 diamond, and 2 small clubs, all vulnerable.
Yeah.
Well, you can imagine that West might open 2 clubs, North might come in with 2 spades and get doubled there, and South rescued a 3 diamonds. It must have been something like that, but it was game all, so there you go. I mean, they're playing a forward game. They're known as bunny bashers back in England, meaning that they score incredibly well against the weaker teams, but can't describe anyone playing in the Bermuda Bowl final as a weak team. It's only just relative to the superb quality of those near the top of the table.
Yeah. Could also be 2 clubs past 2 diamonds by East, and now 3 diamonds by South.
Well, that would be absolute atrocity at game all, wouldn't it? Queen Jack 10 9 to 6 at game all and nothing else. It's not as if you're causing any embarrassment to West if he's got a good hand with spades. He can just bid 3 spades. It doesn't really take away any space. You're risking a massive penalty for nothing. Anyway, let's concentrate on sanity at this table.
Great fun. Now, is South good enough to open? Is the question. I know many who would.
For sure it's open.
You're probably right, Peter. But they're young, north, south, can't rule it out. Unusual one no trump by West. 2 empty doubletons in the majors. But of course, he doesn't like to open 1 diamond because that doesn't show diamonds. So he prefers 1 no trump. And this may keep North out of the hopeless 4 spades.
I really don't see 1 no trump opening as possible there. Just so you can open a diamond and rebid 2 clubs. Can't see what's wrong with that. I think 1 or 2 players in the local club, local church hall, would have found the 1 diamond opening.
Yes, David.
Yes.
But 1 diamond, 1 major, 2 clubs is not natural for East-West.
What does it say about the diamonds?
Would it really still be 2 diamonds? I don't think so. I can
Al
understand
will tell us.
that it could show longer clubs, but certainly not 2 diamonds and 5 clubs. Then he has a balanced hand.
What do you mean it's not natural anyway? He can't have a really good hand. It's not some form of a gazilli, surely. What does it mean?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't looked at the card. Al can tell us.
No, I'm asking Peter. He's the one who knows.
For sure not. I am not totally in the Magwell system. I absolutely relax from the system when we have Al here. He would probably give us all the information we need. So I only have the North-South system card.
Yes, Peter. But the reason David asked is that you said that 2 clubs wouldn't be natural after 1 diamond, 1 something, 2 clubs. Why would
No, I said I don't know about 2 club would be natural.
Okay.
But I got a private message that the 1 diamond followed by 2 clubs show both minors could be either way.
Right, well you can how seriously Volker has treated a vulnerable 3 spade bid. It does indeed show a very good hand. And maybe he's going to tell his partner he doesn't think he was quite worth 3 spades, but anyway, we were discussing the meaning of a 3 bid over 1 no trump yesterday. Mark Smith tells me that they're preemptive. I can't believe that when you're vulnerable. I'd have thought it showed a pretty decent hand. What are you meant to do if you just need a couple of useful cards from partner to tip you into 4 spades?
Yeah. I don't know what 2 spades would... Peter has the card. What 2 spades would have meant. Maybe that shows spades plus or minor. So maybe he wasn't able to bid 2 spades and therefore had to bid 3 spades. I don't know. If he had a natural 2 spade bid available, perhaps that would be enough. But I really don't mind 3.
Yeah, raising 3 to 4, you can't say it's a mistake by South, but it's certainly his hand represents a bidding problem, and it's not obvious to raise, put it that way. I wouldn't have raised. He's got ace, queen and king, but a strong no trump sitting over him.
Yeah. In the other
Two
room.
major.
Yeah, okay, go on.
Two major from North with your 5-card spade and 4-card minor.
So that's why he had to bid 3. Excellent. In the other room they bid 3 as well, but it was passed out.
Well, he must have some other bid to show a single suitor. Some artificial bid, either a double or 2 clubs, something like that, to show a single suitor in spades. Must have some bid to show a 6-card spade suit and no other suit.
Yes, he could bid 2 diamonds as multi for the majors.
And right, left them with gap. You're bound to have a gap somewhere, but unfortunately that pair of hands has exposed the gap.
But it's basically, you know, a judgment issue by South, isn't it? And Volker judged to raise, and Weinstein didn't raise in the other room. I mean, they had the same method available in the other room to bid 2 spades.
Yes, well, another minus factor on the South hand is the fact you've only got 1 spade. I mean, it doesn't matter on what North's actually got, and he may have a good spade suit anyway, but it may mean that you've got a spade loser there. And the fact that South had a singleton spade is what made his hand pretty close to an opening bid. And he may think, well, he's bid 3 spades vulnerable and I've got an opening bid, some sort of... Maybe if he'd had a flatter hand, like a flat 10 count with one of the hearts a spade, then would be better in fact for playing in 4 spades, but he might then have thought, I haven't got much of a hand, and passed 3 spades.
And with a 14-16 no trump sitting over him, then the Queen of Hearts and King of Clubs are doubtful values.
Yes, and one further point is that it was 3 spades over 1 no trump. In the other room it was 3 spades over 1 diamond.
For me it looks like that 4 spades when West Open with 1 diamond is closer to be the right bid than 4 spades when you have a no trump opening behind you. So 1 no, 3 spades, I would pass in South. 1 diamond, 3 spades, I would be closer to bid 4 spades.
Right, well, this is the moment when I disagree with you, and I'm going to say that that was very good analysis, Peter. So we're level now. You gave me 1 good turn and 1 in return.
Okay, you disagree, but I don't know why, but I got 3 private messages who agreed with me in that distinction.
Right, well, I know that it's game all, but 1 diamond, 3 spades is an obvious preempt. You've got other bids available. When you bid it in the face of a strong no trump, then even in the partnership they may regard that as quite a strong bid. And because it's over a strong no trump rather than a diamond, I mean, it has to be a better hand.
Okay, David, I'll go and look for more good news for you.
Well, I'm getting plenty of bad news anyway from people telling me England ladies are 23 imps down. They lost to the Netherlands yesterday. They usually find that a tough match. Very good team, the Netherlands. Amazing that they're not here when you think of all the teams that have come in, so they must have been well down the list in the Europeans.
Cheer up. England will be playing Denmark in the last match today, David.
Well, I'm well cheered by the previous results, particularly as the Open and the ladies both got a very rare 20 points in the last match yesterday. So, by all known logic, I should be in a good mood all day.
That's impossible, David.
It's impossible since I appear to be in a pretty bad mood now. I must agree with you. And not because I have to, because I'm indebted to you, but because I do.
Yes, but you also have to take the opponents into consideration, David. Now, come on. Yes, they're down by 23, but it is against USA1. Arguably the best team, at least among the top 3 teams in the event. So it's hardly a shock, a disaster. I mean, it can happen to anyone. Yeah, why didn't Norse play on clubs here? He could have even overtake the spade of the jack of spades to play a club. I agree. Well, in order to make this, to have any chance, is to play a club from hand now, and guess them, which isn't easy. Well, a club he did play, but he will still have to guess them, and that's very unlikely, because he will take a finesse. He'll play West for King Jack now, and go quite a few down, you see. They clear the hearts, and then a club finesse to the Queen. Boing, and the roof falls in. Well, the Queen could have been right, but the 9 could have been right as well. If he had the Jack X, then the 10 would be okay also. I mean, it's pretty much a guess, isn't it, when you have to play clubs from your hand. Which honor doubleton does East have? I mean, you don't know.
Seems there are 3 possible king doubletons and 3 possible 3 lows. 3 possible low doubletons, I mean, yeah. So he's got a guess on the second round. That's king 8, king 6, king 4 against 8, 4, 6, 4, 8, 6.
I think we all agree that he should have overtaken the Jack of Spades with the Queen to play club from the dummy. That was a mistake. I mean, then you could take a double finesse, right? With a hard entry still there. So that was a mistake, surely.
Yes, he may have been thinking he couldn't afford to waste 2 spade honors on the trick, but he wasn't likely to make the 4th round of spades anyway. So there we go, he did finesse. If this pair is regarded as the top French pair, Roland, does that mean they've been playing more than their fair share of more than their normal share of the boards, as far as you know?
I haven't checked, David. I don't know, but I would think so. Yes, they are the top pair. They would have been in the strongest French team also.
Did Thomas's father, Michael is it, did he play in the European?
I think this pair played in the European. I think it's been a while since they were partners, son and father. Yes, is Michael kind of Michel? Yes, Michel Bessis. Not a happy board for young Bessis here, and he knows he made an error in spades. He could kick himself.
Well, anyway, I pronounced that hand in the top 10% of one-note trump contracts because it was pretty interesting.
Yep. And I don't know where you'll put this hand, because they're getting to 4 hearts, one would assume. And it will depend on the king of diamonds. And going down, one would assume, South is on lead, pretty normal diamond lead. Even if he leads the club, they should be okay. Club to the ace, club to the king, diamond through, down 1. So that's just the normal lead. It shouldn't be too difficult to defeat this contract. Well, you never know.
North.
You
Well,
never
North can see now that there may well be a discard coming on the diamonds. And with the queen of clubs in dummy, perhaps he can afford to play the ace of clubs to see what signal he gets, I don't know.
Yes.
If the queen wasn't in dummy, then he would lead the 10. In case declare a guessed wrongly from King Jack.
Indeed. Now they play old-fashioned signals, standard if you like, attitudes. So the 6 was the best South could do under the circumstances. So this is a better hand for reverse attitude, obviously, when you have the deuce. But nothing bad happened.
Not really, because the 6 was the highest spot card out. When you're signalling, you always have to look which spot cards are missing, and it was the highest of 4 spot cards out.
True.
So most players would open a spade on that hand, even though it's a bad spade suit and they've only got an 11 count. We've seen one or two examples of us being surprised when people didn't open 11 counts, sometimes with a pretty good spade suit. Not even one was a 5-4-3-1 hand, and we saw a West player pass, and we couldn't really understand that now, with opening bids getting lighter all the time. I wonder what they're going to be opening one bids on in 4 years' time.
Looks like an old-fashioned invitational race. Peter has the card, but he may be busy.
Well, it seems had he only bid 2, which is really all the hand is worth, playing old-fashioned conventional methods, then someone or other would get in the bidding. I don't know. West might pass it out and hope it goes off in hundreds, and East isn't really good enough for 2 no trumps. He's not in the protected position after all, although he is past hand. Well, they might have bought it in 2.
What is 3 spades, Peter? Maybe it's not on the card even.
If you just judge such matters in terms of losers, you could say it was a 9-loser hand. But there are certain plus features. First of all, King-Queen, which counts as 1 loser, is better than King-X, which would also count as 1 loser. And you can't really count 2 losers in spades when you know that there's a fit of 5-4, because there's some chance that they may break 2-2. But still, if you regard that as a full-blooded game try, whatever methods you play, you bid it in the knowledge that it is a slight overbid.
Sorry, I'm back. I have an urgent telephone call, but now I am back with you. Be happy.
Yes, Roland had a question for you. What precise definition is there, if any, of the 3-spade response to 1 spade on the French convention card?
Natural, invitational.
So it's a slight push. I see that some of the England team play that over 1 of a major you can either raise straight to 2, which is a little bit weak, or show a better hand by bidding, say, 1 spade 2 hearts, which is a transfer to 2 spades and shows more like 8 or 9 count. So they would have been happy to bid 2 hearts on that hand.
Well, I think that's 3 fit, David. I don't think they can do it with 4. It is normal to bid to the 3 level with 4 cards of support. 4 triple 3.
Well, the French are playing that as a full-blooded game try, so can't be normal for them. Yes, but if you do want to go to the 3 level, then you have to use some other bids, like the Bergen raises.
Absolutely, yes. On board 25, the anti-Forrester lead gave the game. Look at board 25. The lead away from a king, David. Forrester will be pleased to see that. Look, guys, look what happened in the match between France and USA. Levin led a diamond away from the king and the contract made. On the other hand, what is Porno supposed to lead? I mean, it was played by West, right? You can't lead it.
Yes.
You can't lead it.
Well, you can lead a spade. Lead a spade.
Yes, but 2 diamonds, 4 hearts promise also spades. So he knows that West have values in spades and lengths. So spade lead don't look like an option. And a spade lead would probably also let the contract make.
Yes.
So then the diamond loose will disappear on the 4th spade.
You need to lead a club when it's played by West.
Well, that's the hardest of all leads to find. A club lead would be worse than a diamond. I mean, a diamond lead might have worked. Yeah, so he had a tricky decision, yeah. Anyway, leading from kings doesn't always fail spectacularly. It's just that the odds are reckoned to be very poor. Some players have strong views on it, like Forrester and many years ago Fritzy Gordon, who told Sandra Landy never to lead away from a king when you play with me, partner, against a suit contract. But we have seen in recent years that king leads have been shown to be bad by computer simulation.
But you see here how the multicolored 2 diamonds work perfect in the closed room, that the lead now come up to the strong hand, and that North has a very, very difficult decision what to lead.
Yes, so that's a good point in favour of the multi. To some extent there are some points in favour of straight weak 2s, and partner can judge whether he should preempt or not immediately, but it certainly can be valuable for the strong hand to play the contract. That's a good point.
Yes. Now, in the morning round, the Danish declarer was facing the same problem, where they managed to make East declarer in 4 spades on his singleton king of spades, opposite ace queen to 6. There he was on lead, right? Where declarer has shown a strong heart suit, and he had to choose between king jack 10 of diamonds and ace of clubs, ace queen of clubs I think it was even, and led the jack of diamonds and gave the contract. Was into declarer's ace queen. You remember the hand, David?
I'm not sure I do. My wife came into the room briefly, so I was thinking if I dared ask her to bring me a cup of tea or not, and decided I didn't.
It was the hand where England were defending 4 hearts at the other table, the lead of the 9 of hearts. Now you know the hand.
Yes, that's one I'm going to take a close look at after this match.
Right, what's going on here? Are we stuck or not? 2 clubs normal, 2 hearts, 2 spades, all very normal, double. And who's thinking now? Not south. So it must be west.
Double just shows points, has no suggestion to defend, but it does mean that he doesn't particularly like hearts, so he could have raised hearts with heart support. Remember that he had to bid 2 clubs even if he had a valueless hand, so with 8 points he's entitled to show some life, particularly as he places his partner with a strong hand for doubling and then changing the suit. That shows a strong hand, particularly when you go into the major, because players are quite willing to start with a bid in the major even if it's at the 2 level. On other hands, even East's singleton king, which might be a dubious value, is known to be worth something when partner's main suit is hearts. So maybe West will bid 3 spades now to show that he's got enough for game and does ask partner for a spade stopper. Is that possible? The alternative is to bid 3 over minor. Having already extra strength by doubling and bidding 2. He's got several
I
bids.
might ask what
Did I?
Yep.
Did you? Oh, good.
Anyway, everything that I said, Rodwell doesn't agree with, apparently. He's defending.
Yeah. So he was thinking. Obviously South wasn't thinking. So Rod was thinking.
and the double can't ask for spade stopper. East has the spade stopper himself. So he could be 2 no, or he could double as he did, and it looks like the double was suggestion to play against 2 spade. How
Right.
would that work?
Well, I really just can't agree with that at all. You know, 2 clubs is about in the range 0 to 9, and if he can't use double under the spade bidder just to say I've got some points, let's bid on. You know, I've never heard of penalty doubles under the bidder. If this is an exception, it would be very, very hard to read all the time, wouldn't it? So I really think that he's just doubled to say he doesn't have a heart fit and he's got some extra points, and Rodwell's decided to defend. He knows that a little bit about the hand, that North couldn't bid 2 spades initially, and that South had nothing to say over 2 clubs. So he's got some negative inferences that they may have pretty light values on the North-South cards, and he thinks game is not certain from what he's heard, even though 2 spades has shown extra points, so he may have decided to defend on the basis of his top cards and partner's expected shortage in hearts.
Now to the play here. This is not an easy contract to defeat. For us it is. I mean, just obvious to switch to a low heart, isn't it?
No, it's obvious to play a spade.
Yeah, trump maybe, stop the club roughs.
Spades should work, yes.
Under leading the heart would be very, very risky.
Now that he cashed the ace of hearts, he'd better give his partner a ruff. What's now a spade
suggesting a club back. I don't know if they play straight McKenny or reverse McKenny, but he's probably asking for a club back here, because he knows that the diamond won't stand up, but Mextroth can place his partner very, very likely with 4 diamonds on this bidding, because he hasn't raised the clubs. So I think he will return a club.
Can you defeat it if you return a club?
Oh, I see.
You don't have
Doesn't do any good, does it?
You don't have to play a spade and sacrifice
Well, yeah.
your queen?
You're right. That's what Jib says.
Mac will play everything reversed, David. Also suit preference signals. So the 2 was for diamonds.
What, on the basis that the force is a good idea?
Oh, that was a mistake. South has to often play club.
Yep. Well, it was a mistake by Mac and a mistake by Declarer.
Maybe a mistake by Rodwell if he asked for a diamond back.
From his point of view, he wants a diamond back. He doesn't know what partner has in clubs. Oh, right. Surely. He is a very good player. Surely he would rough this and play a club. Now there's no defense.
No defence on a board where Mextroth and Rodwell were close to game values. So this is not a hand they can be proud of, not in the bidding. I don't think Rodwell was right to pass that double. And as it turns out, they haven't found perhaps quite a difficult defence to beat it.
No. Another question is, should Mac have doubled with queen empty to 4 under the spade hand?
Oh dear. Well, I don't believe that's a penalty double. I've explained that. You don't make penalty doubles under the long hand. It doesn't make sense.
But if it isn't a penalty double, why would West pass?
That's what we were trying to work out. I was trying to justify it on the basis that he knew there was no heart fit, and the opponents hadn't bid very strongly, therefore he maybe hoped there was something good in spades in partner's hand. But if he's got 8 points, whatever, no particular distributional bid to make, he's just going to keep the bidding alive with a double. That's what it always means when the opponents have found a fit, and do you want to show extra values? You can't say, well, I think if it goes 1 spade double past this, you bid a new suit, and then they raise to 2, and then I double, I think that should be an exception to the general rule. So those sort of understandings are hopeless. So I don't see how that was a penalty double.
The good news for the declarer now is that he can't go wrong. Even the Queen of Hearts is good enough. Let East ruff and kill the trick. Then you have two trumps in the dummy. So this is fine.
As long as the ace of clubs are served.
Yes.
Well, for England supporters, the women are not doing so well, but the Open team have put on 27 ints against South Africa, so they now have a 35-11 lead, with quite a few boards still to go.
Those Danish teams leading. Are you interested, David, or not?
Yeah, I'm always interested in any scores, and after that I'll have a question for you from a Kibitzer.
No, it's not so important, because Open team only leading by 9 against Guadeloupe. But these are the ladies. They were behind England, but they picked a couple of good boards and are leading now. All right, your question, please.
Right, it's a pretty basic one, and I think I might know the answer, but I don't want to guess when we've got... I know you don't like being called a walking encyclopedia, but mustn't underestimate everyone's opinion of you. The question is there any carry forward when it comes to the knockout stage?
So you expect me to have read the conditions of contest?
Well, a well-reasoned guess on the basis of all the tournaments we've watched. I would have guessed there was, yeah, but I don't know.
That's also my guess. I'm sure Al knows, but I think he's fallen asleep, which I can understand. It's in the middle of the night. We haven't heard from him for a while. He knows everything by heart. You should really ask Al all those questions. I know nothing.
Well, for those of us who regard Mextroth and Rodwell as something very close to gods, they've just given us a nasty shock on that previous board. What an awful board, all those values, and they concede minus 470. Some sort of bidding misunderstanding or some sort of guess from Rodwell gone wrong. Say it had gone 1 down. I mean, maybe they can't make their game. Perhaps perhaps they can't make game in no trumps or clubs. But anyway, not a good board for them.
No, Mac left the room, by the way.
I'm told the usual carry forward is 1/2 of the imps that you scored against your opponents, provided you finish higher than them in the top 8. Otherwise, only 1/3 of the difference. Oh no, if you lose against them and still finish higher, then it's 1/3.
And they have maximum also.
Yeah. And here's some news for you. 27 in the other room, 470 in this room. The French pair bid to 6 clubs.
very lucky because... No, but even 5 clubs is a problem, isn't it, with king to 4 in that hand?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
Spade,
so
spade.
they're lucky they bid to a bad slam, and they're going to end up with a nice plus score in the imps column.
Absolutely.
You even need king second in south
Yes, after
to
spade,
make
spade.
6 clubs. Spade, spade, and south will score even king third. Here we can see that north-south is cold for 10 tricks in a spade contract, and east-west have none green against red, a good sacrifice in 5 hearts. Only 4 losers for 300. And they might even push north-south in 5 spades, which could be a serious problem.
Yes.
Five spades can be defeated by force on a diamond lead to be found out. No, still serious problems.
Wait a second. You get the lead of the Queen of Hearts to the ace. But then East
Yes.
will switch to his diamond, won't he?
Yes. And now you have to take a first time finesse in spade to make the contract.
Yeah.
If you take as king of spade, you have no entry to dummy to repeat the finesse.
Yeah. So France gained 8 imps on going down in slam in the other room. It went 3 down eventually, probably after spade, but it was worth 8 imps. And going back to the carryover for the word, is that the maximum of carryover is 16 imps for 96 board matches, maximum 20 for 120 board matches. We have 120 board in the final, so that will be a max of 20. In the quarterfinals and semi-finals, a maximum of 16.
I'm just looking at the bidding of that 470 hand at the other table. 1 spade double, and now there was a difference because the American North raised to 2 spades immediately. Free bid of 3 clubs from East, understandable 3 spades from West, doubled by North to say he didn't like the idea of a spade lead. And East then bid 4 clubs. He had the option of either passing or bidding 4 clubs. Right, am I going to be allowed?
Now.
No.
Well, David, you know Peter can't help it. It's not really his fault.
I know, yeah, I know, it's sure, and we've all had similar problems in the past, so it's not his fault at all, I know. Anyway, I was going to say that either West thought that that free bid of 4 clubs carried some inference that his clubs ended, or his 6 clubs was too much. You know, he had space to make another trial bid over 4 clubs. I don't think he should have gone straight to 6 clubs. I mean, even if he assumes there's going to be a spade loser, even if he assumes the clubs are solid, well, hasn't definitely got enough tricks outside in the red suits. Anyway, could have been right, so it was unlucky, I suppose, in a way.
Well, surely
yeah.
they're not bidding 5 spades. I don't think so. Just doesn't look right to bid 5 over 5 with the South cards, does it?
So we have the pass score here. 5 heart doubled, probably down 2.
Yeah, I agree, Peter.
Well, I think we can say everyone did well in that auction. Every action looks right down the middle, and
Yes.
just for once it ended in the par result.
And the 9 of spades should be a suit preference signal. They play standard suit preference signals. The 9 of spades asking for a diamond switch when dummy has a singleton. Same contract in the closed room on a similar auction, I'm told, but played by West. Then it can't be the same auction. Obviously it can't, because they don't open 2 clubs in the other room, they open 1 club. So a flat board to be expected here, and on to 29. East-West can make 3 hearts, that's easy to see. What can North-South make? Well, in a spade contract, of course.
4 or 5 decades ago, people used to think if you overcalled a spade, you denied the values for an opening bid. That was one of at least a dozen general ideas about bidding that we now regard as totally absurd. Anyway, it swung a huge way the pendulum, and now 1 spade can be an enormous hand. Some people don't really like doubling and not mentioning their suit, first of all.
I'm interested in 4 spades here. Can we make it? And how should we play it on the lead of the Queen of Hearts? So now we are here, and now we have to make it.
Well, you have 7 top tricks in spades and diamonds. Looks like you can add a couple of heart roughs, so you would then need a third diamond trick if that's how it went.
Yes. And you may go wrong in diamonds, but if you don't, I think you have your tricks, right? Yeah.
You asked about of course it was correct with 50% of the imps or only a third of the imps, depending on your meeting. A team you have lost to a higher ranking, lower ranking, and so on. But there are also a maximum, and in the quarterfinal and semifinals, where they are playing 96 boards, the maximum carryover is 16 imps. And for the final, at 128 boards, the maximum carryover is 20 imps.
Good.
Thanks.
You see, I don't know much about tricks, but I'm very good to go out and find information.
Yes. But never mind.
You are our expert card player, Peter. We always come to you for the best line.
Yeah. And obviously, if you have the hand records, you can take 4 diamond tricks. Piece of cake. You see, 4 diamond tricks available.
Right. Well, we see here that the French declarer has seen the problems that are going to come if he just goes for heart roughs. May have to guess the diamonds, so he's trying to set up the club suit, which is interesting. Doing so while he still has some protection in hearts with the last trump in dummy.
He's doing a great job.
And he'll probably have count on East. 1 heart, 1 spade, 2 heart. Probably only showed 3 card support. So you know that East have 7 cards heart and close to counting up to do Doubleton, Doubleton, Doubleton. But he don't need that. In diamonds, he just needs to find the queen of diamonds where his clubs are good. And what can the defense do now, Roland?
I was just going to ask you, can't he just claim? I mean, is there any layout where he won't take the rest now?
No? Anyway, he did well.
In the pool on Bridge Winner, USA1 have received over 50% of the votes, and they are not even close to lay as number 1. But don't forget, the Americans are very used to the knockout matches. So even if they finish 3rd or 4th in the round robin, don't count them out.
Of course not.
If we think back to board 27, you remember that was the minus 470 here, and France going overboard in 6 clubs. England east-west, England were defending 5 clubs, and that was let through on a lead of the top spade. Don't know whether the game is cold on the lead of the top spade, but anyway, it's a minus 400 for England.
What was double, Peter? Just power or one suitor? The double of one no trump. How do they play that?
In second seat, the double is 3-way. It's either a 5-card minor, 4-card major, or strong. I don't know if they also play that in fourth seat.
Interesting move that Mextroth pulled the double to 2 diamonds. He knew, of course, that his partner didn't have 5-card hearts, and he was expecting that maybe he'd have to play in one no trump doubled, or if not, if South was going to pull to 2 hearts, it's better to bid the diamonds in front. He's got a hand that is pretty sure to make several tricks in diamonds, even if partner's got a weak hand, and that's worked out very well, hasn't it, because he found a diamond fit.
Yes, it will work very well, even. Of course, he's probably making an over trick here. I think he'll finesse the 10 of spades. He did. Right. So double must have been power, Peter, in fourth seat, since East pulled to 2 diamonds. It would be pretty unusual to do that if it wasn't, but we don't know.
I can only tell about the 3 options.
Sure. Fair enough. 2 boards to go.
France has just gone into a tiny lead against Poland at the top of the table. But in general, the field is condensed, and all the teams between 1 and about 12 are in quite a narrow band of victory points, and that certainly wasn't the story a couple of days ago. I remember that at that time France had 50% more victory points than England, and looked like quite a hike for England to even get in the top 8, but the field has condensed, so the top teams haven't been doing so well, and the teams below have been catching up, and it's building up for a very exciting finish over the last 2 days of round robin.